We're really gathering together here, in an intimate space. It's so I encourage you to sort of tune into that intimacy to connect, rather than to sort of have a passive viewing a screen kind of consciousness. So let's just start by dropping in together. And really, tuning into the body in this space. Letting awareness drop down from the eyes and the screen, opening up. Letting everything be part of this field that we're sharing together. And really just allowing everything to come to rest. Not needing to make anything happen. Noticing the contact with the chair, with the ground. Feeling its invitation to rest. Its abiding willingness to support and hold us. No matter what's happening. And we can be here just like the ground. Allowing space for everything that wants to move through. Giving full permission to everything that's alive. Letting awareness be intimate with that aliveness. With whatever forms it's taking right now. We don't need to stop any of it. We don't need to censor it. We don't need to manage it. We don't need to diagnose it. We get to be fully alive, unapologetically alive. And just bring loving awareness to all the different flavors of our experience. Different tones, different types of vibration. And fully allowing any experience to be here, even tightness. Any place that's scared. And the parts of us that are shy, not sure they're allowed. Any parts of our experience that are not sure they're spiritual enough. And we get to feel it all. Even agitation, impatience, boredom, frustration. Even the most intense feelings, even rage. Or heartbreak. We're allowed the full range of experience, full movement of life. We get to be fully alive. Not having the wrong experience. It's not possible. We're not doing it wrong. And you can just allow awareness all the way in. Touching the streams of aliveness, vitality. Without any attempt to quell them, reduce them. Allowing a natural integration that's so beyond anything our mind could orchestrate. Honoring the intelligence of this movement of life as it's manifesting right now. Allowing ourselves to be surprised. Allowing ourselves to move beyond what we've known, beyond our familiar reference points. Allowing what wants to emerge in this moment. That which we don't know, haven't experienced before. Fresh. And completely allowing any discomfort, any trembling, letting the body do whatever it wants to do. Letting it cry, letting it shake, letting it yawn, letting it stretch. And trusting the natural movement. Not needing to know why, not needing to know where this goes. This mysterious reality is just so open, so alive. Constantly moving beyond any images we hold of it, any maps we've developed. Too big, too rich. Too many aspects and dimensions to be fit in any box, in any image, in any conceptual scheme. We can let it all move through us. We get to be here for all of it. And we get to be here together. Sharing in this. Supporting each other with our presence, our simple willingness to be here. And I'd love to just invite you to allow your eyes to open whenever you feel willing. Just receiving the light. Without leaving the depths of our experience. Without leaving the connection to the larger space that we're inhabiting together. I'd love to invite you to share what's here for you, what's alive, what you're noticing right now. Challenging, beautiful, confusing. Whatever's here is welcome to be shared. We get to be with each other here. We get to have company. Even in the places where we feel we don't deserve it. Even in the places where we feel so separate. So if you'd like to share, just you can click the raise hand function, or you can just raise your hand on the screen. I think we'll see you because it's an intimate group today. Yeah, Julie. Kay, could you make me co-host so I can unmute people as well?
Sure. Julie's unmuted.
Yeah. Thanks.
Good morning.
Hi.
So it's always actually hard to talk after one of your meditations, Adam. So experienced some stirring up around experiences happening in my life, and one of the things that's come to visit me is cruelty and fear of cruelty.
What's the experience? How does it feel in your system?
Kind of jangly. There's sort of this dissonance around, like, well, there's no cruelty happening or necessarily going to happen, and then all this knowledge about so much cruelty that does happen or has happened or is happening, and indifference, like, that goes along with that, like how well, it's all sort of a projection of my mind in some sense. But then rising up behind it, at least in this meditation, was sort of, the protective rage and pushing back.
Yeah, just totally to allow that to be here. Let yourself have the vitality of that, the strength of that, the power of it. What do you notice as you turn towards it?
I noticed that here in satsang, it's easier to find like what you said, the vitality and the strength and the freshness of that. And it's like pretty intense.
Yeah.
It feels like it could be like a hurricane that would just like wipe off the surface of everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So
But hopefully without too much cruelty. Oh.
Yeah. So powerful. Yeah. It's so important to allow that energy to be here.
And then it makes me like check back with the one who was sort of under the impression of all that indifference. It's like I want her to be lifted up by this or something.
What are you noticing?
I'm noticing there's like a vulnerability that is natural, and I don't want to lose that, but it also feels like vulnerable, you know? It's like, wow, walking around with that, like, that's dangerous.
Yeah, and it's so powerful to be here, open and vulnerable. It's like to know that we can be here like this.
I don't know, it doesn't feel powerful. It feels like I want to like crawl under a rock. Or that one does.
Yeah.
And then I guess I can say yes to that.
Yeah, and it's like just the way that you're noticing that fear, that vulnerability, that wanting to run away. It's like the way that you're meeting it right now is so perfect. It's like that's the power. It's like the way that we can just see these places in us. You can let them be here. And we don't actually have to run under the rock. Unless it's appropriate.
Sorry, I got distracted because a bird was like throwing itself against my windows. Okay, well, I'm going to sit with this for a minute, and I'm also going to go check the bird.
Okay.
Thank you.
Nice being with you, Julie. Is the bird okay, Julie? Just really appreciating the depth of the space we're sharing together. What are you noticing here? What's alive? Yeah, Lisa.
Kate can help too. I'm down here in New Mexico right now, and I was so moved to hear you during our silent sitting because it was so connected to making art for me. It was so obvious that that is truly where to be. It coincides perfectly. To be trusting, to be in this place of, well, you just don't know, surrender to the amazing, right? It could be, you could have been someone talking to a group of artists, like, this is how you do it. You let go completely and you fall open, right? So I had this interesting experience down here, a whole bunch during the week that I was working with the other artists. And immediately it became apparent to me in this shared space that there were a variety of different humans together working with this amazing master and her equipment and space. And it became so clear to me, being in this vast open sky place in New Mexico, that what you were verbalizing is, at my age, in my being an artist for so many years, to really get your teachings weaving in precisely, because it's a lot of skill that I bring over years, but still the most important thing is absolute surrender to what is. And I loved what you said about living here, living your life here, not apologetically.
Yeah.
In your words when you were channeling or whatever, that just seems so clear, not just to this being, but I recognize that in so many other fellow humans, including my children.
Yeah.
I was thinking, oh wow, I want to share that immediately with my young one, right? Just, wow, that was really an amazing experience, and then to luckily get in with this and sit with you and hear this. It's really deeply dropping in to my body.
Yeah, so appreciate you sharing, sort of pointing to what resonates in you. So as we explore this together. It's like the creative power of life itself, the way that it moves through us. You know, we're all artists. Our life is art.
Right. Yeah. It's just always wanting to recalibrate, though, to being kind and open. And then when you're triggered by all the other things you were talking about that exist in human existence, and what Julie was sharing about the cruelty, the suffering that we're aware of.
Yeah.
It seems, and then when you get into a group of people, quote, artists creating, it can get so egoic so fast that I find that's like a mirror of reflection of like, oh, this is how, for some reason, that's been a big value of mine as an artist, not to go into that egoic, right? Like to love to teach children, for example.
Yeah.
But, or just to see other adults. Everyone can try this. The teacher gave a big bucket of ink and a mop outside and put down the substrate, whatever, and people could just hit the mop, you know, and what you were saying, all those emotions, right? You just like, and when I did it, Julie, I thought I was standing on that land, the beautiful land, and I was thinking, wow, this is the stolen land, you know, quote, stolen land. And so I really stood there for a while before I did the mop, and I really put that, because that was the prompt, was to really put emotion into, feeling into it. And just the amazing stuff that came out of my mop, because I dropped in like that. At the end of the week, when I pulled these drawings out, or splatters, whatever, they were amazed by what I got, but it was because I dropped in like that. Yeah. I'm sure. It wasn't my handling of the mop or anything. It was just complete. So that surrendering to the all and really dropping in and allowing, like really allowing, like I was like, wow, you know, the white privilege, what Julie was touching on to me too. It's like how to embody that and take that on. I think a lot of the human tribe is just too overwhelmed. The white human tribe, the privileged human tribe, it's too overwhelming to feel it, right? Is it scary or frightening or like, no, I've got to live my life. I've got to be up. I've got to be positive. I've got to move forward and all that. I mean, I forget what Julie was saying, but it's the indifference to it somehow.
It's the disconnection. It's like it's like we're afraid of like meeting reality, of like feeling what we have to feel to be present to it all. So
it is really scary though to take ownership and like to how to move on forward in a positive way. You know, because I've got Indigo, you met Indigo, and Indigo's down in Mexico right now studying with these Zapatistas and, you know, just like thinking all the time. My daughter, for those of us that are here together, is 21 and is very, very connected to sitting and being very deeply sad and upset about everything that's going on in terms of Indigenous people and people of color and all collectively. So it's so often my husband and I have this, and my other child presented to us in a very strong, forceful hit. So when I stood there with the mop and connected with the earth and really embodied it through my fingertips, the awful emotion of it, right? This like this beautiful place being just.
Yeah.
And then when I took that mop and smacked it down with the sound as suggested, it felt really releasing and curative, for me, for my body mind system.
Yeah. Yeah. So good to
pushing away those emotions is what my normal thing is, like, oh, I'm not comfortable with this. I have enough reactivity and rage and, rage that comes up, but just the normal annoyances of being a human and moving through the world, Adam, is just kind of like, okay, to allow it is going to make me less reactive somehow, more comfortable and kinder to other humans.
Yeah. So when we can really like allow ourselves to feel what's being invited, to make contact with reality like that, it's such a relief, because it's actually constant effort required to not feel, to like constantly avert our eyes, to like numb out, to not experience what's here. It's constant effort. It's that we only get to actually rest when we're in the truth, when we're willing to be here and to feel what's here.
So right now, my solar plexus, I'm feeling like a lot of fear and anxiety kind of in my body. I'm aware of it. It's almost like snakes moving, or you know what I mean? Just like,
Yeah.
whoa, all this like that I've carried with me, not really crazy, right? Like it's just
Yeah, just
living.
let yourself feel that fear. Just let yourself feel those snakes. And not making it wrong. It's safe to be here. It's safe to feel it. It's safe to feel the fear.
And it's safe. It's safe to somehow, or I want it to be safe, to feel like being a part of all this cruelty, not by choice, but by lineage. And it's okay to not feel like I can't undo it all. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like that?
absolutely.
Plus having a child that's constantly calling you out and bringing it to awareness. And it's a lot. It's a lot to take on, I think. And so I think that, yeah.
We get to be here in the mess of it all.
Mm.
In the mystery of it all. In the imperfection. It's like it's never going to fit any perfect image we dream up. Which isn't to say we shouldn't respond. It isn't to say we shouldn't take action. We shouldn't care. But we shouldn't demand that it be, that it conform to some image in our minds. And we're fully a part of it. It's like the temptation here can be to separate outright, to say that I don't know what cruelty is. How could other people do that? and we sort of distance ourselves. But the invitation here is to be really intimate with it, to know it from the inside. It's not
Yeah.
just.
And you said to know it from the inside, because that feels really true right in this moment. It's like, oh, yeah, this is, I mean, we all must feel this way. We must, we must collectively. I mean, I've had a lot more thrown out at me by virtue of having this kid and stuff that they read and hand to me. And some of it I just cannot read. I can't. But I do feel it in my soul, right in the apt place. Like, whoa, this is a lot.
Yeah,
It's really good to have a new tool.
Yeah, our life gets to be here. As imperfect as we are, we get to be here.
Right, unapologetically.
We shouldn't exist, or the world shouldn't exist. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we get to be here.
And maybe that resonated so much with me because I'm constantly having this awakening, if you will, from our child who is saying, hey, take a look at this. You need to apologize constantly, right? So
yeah, it's one thing to feel remorse, to see the ways that we're cruel or indifferent and so on, and to feel the heartbreak of that, the remorse of it, but to not condemn ourselves. So the remorse feels healing. It's like coming back to wholeness, coming back to the deeper truth that we've been avoiding. And then we can feel like the sort of heartfelt sorrow. It's like, oh, I wish I hadn't felt, I wish I hadn't done that, or whatever. We can feel the truth of that, just the simple truth of it, the heart's truth. But that's very different from saying, and I shouldn't exist. I don't deserve to be here because I'm not perfect. Which is often where we go. It's like, if I can't be perfect, I don't deserve to be here. So all the parts of me that are imperfect don't deserve to be here. And it's not true. It's so not true. We're all humans here. We're all in this together.
yeah.
And
Thank you.
We're all called to the truth. We all want to rest in the truth of it. No matter how steeped in denial we are, no matter how much of our life is devoted to running away. It's not what we ultimately want.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I felt really beautifully connected with you just then. It was, even though we're on this technology here. Thank you, Adam.
Yeah, I really appreciate the depth of your inquiry and the sincerity of your heart. So beautiful. It's just so beautiful.
Yeah, I'm wonderful, spontaneously connected with you. I got my open circle. It's nice, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks to Julie and her bird messenger coming.
Yeah.
Oh, I can do it myself. Okay.
Hi.
Hi, Adam.
Oh, lovely being with you again.
Yeah, this is my first open circle, and really lovely to feel this wonderful heart space again, which we brought to London. So I'm feeling this now, and it's just so nice. I just want to lie down, actually, but I'm not going to. So there are two things for me. On the one hand, I felt this really tight space at the back of my left hip, but as it, felt really painful. But right now, it's beginning to let go, so that feels much better. But then, really, what I was thinking, I suppose, and feeling, if this heart space is so nice, it's so wonderful. Do we have an echo? It seems a bit of an echo. It feels so nice and wonderful, but then, we'll sign off, and then how do you keep it going, or how do you, how do you live the rest of your, when you're not in this space where it's so much easier to be connected like this. So that's my connection, or my question, my response to my question, I suppose.
Yeah, so it's great to notice like that certain spaces bring us deeper and are more nourishing, and it's appropriate to notice that and to sort of honor our draw to these spaces. It's really, really helpful, to have this sort of depth, this opportunity to go to the depths, to really feel what's true, and to notice that there's no condition here that's terribly special.
It feels special.
It's like if you look at or you ask the question like, what's making this a heart space?
Adam. I think you're bringing it too. Or you, whatever, it's, yeah, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're addressing it. Yeah. So, I mean, my heart is your heart. It's our heart.
I find it deeply, deeply, deeply nurturing. It's like food for the soul, or food for the heart. I really feel it quite physical, and it's just wonderful. I just want to be like this forever. So, yeah. So I don't know how we can do this. Stay in this open circle forever.
Yeah, and just again to sort of invite you to notice that we're not really doing anything special.
Feels quite special.
I mean, like there's no what is it that makes this happen? It's not like there's any sort of fixed thing that must be here. So when we move away from the cameras and move into our day, like what is it that's different? Is there something that's missing? What is that?
It's less focus on the heart. It's a much more functioning. What does that mean?
Okay, I'm wondering if you could mute Lisa. It keeps changing when I'm on the speaker view. Thanks. Yeah, so when we notice something like that, like maybe we switch into like functional mode, and we're like sort of all about our agenda and getting things done and being efficient, and we might notice like, oh, like it's actually, I really miss like feeling the heart connection. That invitation to bring the heart with us. To allow the heart to engage in our activities, allow that to influence what happens.
I find in my life, okay, so I'm trying to do this. Okay, I've noticed that I've been doing this sort of whatever in one shape or form meditation for a very long time. So I feel I'm getting to this point where I'm much more relaxed in terms of, I'm not going to pre-plan everything. I'm just going to let it go and the right thing will happen. But I'm driving my colleagues crazy. Because they just think I'm flaky, and or sort of I have this trusting thing, the right thing will happen and I'm going to do it at the right time and so on. And I'm getting a lot of conflict from them because they seem, so that's where I guess the rubber hits the road, that they are perceived as not functioning efficiently because maybe I'm trying to operate in a way where this heart space is, or whatever you want to call it. Trying to work from a different place within myself where I'm not controlling as much, and I'm just trusting, even if there's a bit of chaos, who cares, Anyway, so that's kind of where I'm at in my life, I suppose, that I'm getting a lot of signals that from my colleagues that they don't appreciate my approach. It's not that I'm missing big things, but sometimes there is chaos,
Yeah, so it's like, so to be in the inquiry of this, I mean, it's perfect. To not make it wrong, to not make it either or. Either there must be chaos, or, I can be in my heart and then there'll be chaos, or I'll be functional and everything will be cold and, So it's like, we're being invited into these inquiries, and it's like finding out how it can work, where we can be present in our heart and have relationships that work and not have, unnecessary chaos occurring. So just feeling into how this is possible, and it's it's sort of just like noticing like what we really want,
Oh, I know what I want. It's not what my colleagues want.
Well, is that true?
Well, I think on a deeper level, probably not, but not to their conscious mind that is reacting. I think they feel it much more than they actually really rationally understand, because it's not like I'm missing big things. It's just a different approach, and it sort of gets the control freak come out in them. Mm-hmm. So it's unsettling for them, and I'm not going to explain because that wouldn't be appropriate. So I don't know. Yeah, it's you making this an inquiry, I guess is an interesting way to look at it. But I guess this is a similar question to what Julie also was raising or something. It's then basically, so how do you stay connected without going into judgment or annoyance when you get some feedback which maybe you're not very happy to have, or I mean, I don't mean feedback in a positive way, a sort of really reactive lashing out, I suppose.
Yeah, and what do you feel when that happens? What's the feeling that comes up?
Well, I don't want to experience it. That's for sure.
And what's the feeling you don't want to experience?
Well, I understand it's not really about me, so I don't have to take it personally. But it's making me, it's punitive, so it's not a space where I feel respected, or maybe having a different approach.
And what's the feeling there? So when you say disrespect or not feeling respected, what's the feeling?
Depending on what's going on. So it could be anger, annoyance, feeling the victim, just also usually feeling attacked, I suppose. And then it can be quite paralyzing sometimes. Depends.
You feel paralyzed?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's like really bringing compassion to your experience, permission for you to have the experience you're having, if it's paralysis and fear, or if it's anger or whatever it is. It's really, it's because, this is what's difficult for us, is like to meet our own experience, and what we typically do is we say, I don't want to experience this, and I want to change them. I've got to like make them different.
Well,
or,
no. I
or
know I can't.
eradicate them or whatever.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I would like them to be fairer. Let's put it like this, because it's quite unfair. But yeah. The question, well, I mean, this goes into life story stuff, but the question really is how many more times do I need to experience this?
Yeah, and this, so often these patterns will follow us through life, you know, and it's like they're inviting us into like intimacy with our experience. They're inviting us into that inquiry into like what's really going on here.
I'm wondering whether this is, to me, this is really something which also has to do with me trying to, as I say, live from a different place where I think my colleagues are reacting to. So I feel it's almost more, I'm sure there's some personal stuff in there, but there's also some collective, whatever, change of paradigm. I think they're reacting to it much more from that place than from me as a person or something. You see, that's my feeling at least.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like so often when there's like relational conflict, it's like we sort of go into that question of like who's bad, you know, who needs to be different, who shouldn't be the way they are. Mm-hmm. So it's really helpful to sort of like to hold both parties as innocent, to hold yourself as innocent and to hold them as innocent, and to really like tune into like what's actually going on there. You know, what are you feeling? What are they feeling?
Mm-hmm. Not sure how interested I am in what they are feeling.
Well, it's definitely good to start with what you're feeling. You know, I mean, like that definitely gets to be here. That definitely gets to have space. You know, to really know what it is, because again, we can often get caught into the story of like, you know, I don't want to meet what's here, so I'm just going to like condemn them or like, you know, sort of define what's happening as that makes them wrong, makes them bad. So it's like really meeting what's being experienced, what are you experiencing, what's being felt there. Really making space for that, having compassion for that experience, whatever it is.
I guess there's disappointment.
Yeah, it's just really allowing yourself to feel that.
And there's definitely a sense of it really shouldn't be like this. But it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to see that sort of storyline. You know, that's like so often it's pervasive in relational conflict. It should not be this way. It should not be this way.
But so how do you live? So basically, if you're in it's not a positive relationship, let's put it like this. So I can accept they behave like this. It's not very conducive from my point of view. Whether I think it's, you know, anyway. So it's similar to the question Julie asked earlier. So there are all these conflicts. We live in this world. We can't change it. We can't condone it. But you have to live with it, and you want to stay in your heart space. Yeah, basically, how do you keep going, I suppose?
Yeah.
With trying to be open and vulnerable. I think that's always my key question.
Yeah, and just to notice how it's like the way that the mind can set this up, like it thinks it knows what's happening, and it thinks like there's no solution, right? So there's like there's nothing good can happen here. It's just like this is the fixed position. This is the cycle. So what inquiry does is like it allows us to be surprised by what's actually here. It's like, so we don't actually know what's going on, and we don't know needs to happen next. And then to be really curious about what is the actual experience, what is it that I'm feeling here? You know, what's behind that? You know, the word disappointment is pointing to.
Well, the next thing behind it is a sense that it shouldn't be like this. This sort of people should behave better. I mean, you know, they should be kinder, more understanding, have a sense of their own, you know, where they are reacting from, which I find I'm judging very limited. So
Yeah.
here we go.
So again, like, so as soon as you touch it, it's like it goes to stories about them and the situation and what needs to happen and how they're bad and they'll never be fixed. And it's like, so just continuing to be with like that experience that you're having of disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
Like really letting yourself feel that all the way down.
Mm-hmm.
And the mind will say that's pointless. There's no point in feeling this. You know, nothing good's going to happen by feeling this. It's uncomfortable. It's painful to feel it. But it's actually so important to feel it all the way down. It's like this is why these situations repeat for us. It's like we're being invited to feel something that we're not willing to feel. That feels dangerous to feel, difficult to feel.
Mm-hmm. There's a sadness behind it underneath. There's more sadness coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, so sad. It's like heartbreaking, the experience of disconnection.
Mm-hmm.
Of your heart not being seen, not being received.
Mm-hmm.
And just to let yourself feel how vulnerable it is there, that feeling of heartbreak. How much you long for loving connection, to be seen here.
Should, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and this place can feel so vulnerable.
So I want to put, you know, the instinct is to protect it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's so important to let yourself feel it. Like to let this place be held, to let this place be loved, to not make it wrong. You know, this is how it is to be here with an open heart, is to experience heartbreak.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as the other people who've shared, you know, have been sharing about cruelty and so on. It's like that's the invitation for us, is to open to it, to feel it, to know it. To really let ourselves feel. To let ourselves be sensitive. Do you think your colleagues know how much you long for loving connection with them?
I don't think they give a damn. Excuse my friend. Sorry, my cat's coming. We have animal interaction. No, well, I could say a lot of things there. I don't think that even that terminology would be well received.
Yeah, I mean, this is the tragedy, you know, it's like that we all actually love this loving connection. We all want to meet like this, and we're all scared and we're all protecting ourselves.
I think it's a cultural thing. Well, being in England and working with a certain type of English people for the first time in my life, I think they just can't take my you know, it's a cultural difference thing. Like, well, they can't take me being quite direct and open and wanting to engage with them from that place. They just want to run away. They find it incredibly uncomfortable, and that's in part the pushback that I'm getting. Except I don't know how to be any other way. I don't want to be any. So it's not a good match. Let's put it like this. So I think they're totally afraid. Anyway.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, so it's for the heartbreak. It's like it just sort of comes into view, right? What's the truth of the situation? You know, the fear of intimacy, the fear of heart connection, the tragedy of that.
I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. So coming into a space like this, which is, you know, the heart is giving a space to feel, to be nourished. I find it incredibly nourishing. It's like medicine for the heart. It's just so wonderful. So I want to say thank you, Adam, for doing what you did, bringing this message in the space, and you know, a kind of, you know, a space to experience it in a safe way and be reminded and be held while exploring this. So this is amazing.
Yeah, and you know, just blessings on the inquiry for all of us, you know, in how to bring this into our relationships, how to meet in a way that's deeper than we're accustomed to, and the courage that requires to show up with an open heart, to let ourselves be vulnerable.
It's huge, absolutely.
And you know, there's no rule of thumb, and there's no need to make ourselves wrong when it doesn't happen. You know, this is the way that we really want to be together. This is the call. This is the invitation for us. This is what we're drawn to. Yeah. How to bring this love into the world, into our lives, into relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a mistake that we feel this longing, that we want this so much, that we feel the heartbreak of where it's not happening. Thank you.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Yeah, Julia.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm with you from Denmark, so it's evening here. And it's wonderful to be with you. I want to thank for the meditation and just in the beginning when I heard you speak the words of the body, I just get so joyful and so happy because I've been on this journey for a long time, and it was all about, how you say, hiding in the clouds. I did not know it was hiding in the clouds, but it was definitely the clouds. And it sure felt relieving in a kind of way to get a different perspective upon, being here and the psychological realm or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But something in the depth of everything really didn't feel in place, or so now I'm just coming about teachers that are so much bringing it down, and it's in a way such a beautiful thing, and also very scary for me. And I don't know if scary is the right word, because suppressing it all, it has been so filled with so much anxiety and fear in my life also. So maybe it's not true, but I'm very I get fearful of how much I need to feel, or the amount of it, or how to not drowning, all these fears of.
What's the most scary feeling for you?
Disappearing and losing, the grip, my feet from the ground, or my mind. Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Control also, losing control. I've been using so much energy of, holding on to control, or holding on to something that could seem stable one way or the other. So, and also I get very touched when you shared about something around ending up in this place of not feeling worthy of being here. And in the beginning I was like, no, this is not how I feel. But then you made it down to these parts of me that was not allowed to be here. And then I see that it's actually so many parts of what is like, has been the experience that I have kept like suppressing or hiding from myself and the world. So there's a lot of loneliness, and also like, yeah, it feels lonely and sad in how to meet it. Like,
yeah, it's just so beautiful to bring attention to those places. I mean, to notice that they exist, and how much they want company. They want to be seen. They want to be felt, to be loved and accepted. And they so deserve that.
I guess I'm afraid of drowning in them or feeding them, or by putting the attention there or something like that.
Yeah,
Because yeah, there has been a lot of identity also in, the stories, the victim stories, or holding on to, I don't know if that is true actually.
Yeah, and it's like when we turn with love, it's like we are the loving field that's meeting all these places. And the, this loving open space that we are, it has plenty of space for whatever is being felt, no matter how intense. It's still just as open as it ever was.
I'm starting to get, I don't know, a sense of like actually that we are the container of what is bringing, I don't know, attention or love to all these parts. But I have just been so used to being so identified with them that they became like enemies, or how can you express it, like so it's very new for me to
Yeah, I mean, these parts of us that we've been in fear of, and we've been sort of at war with and struggling against. It's like the invitation is to end that struggle, is to allow them to be here, to feel them, to be so intimate with them, so willing to experience. And
yeah,
it's like we only really have that willingness and that capacity when we know ourselves as the open space.
yes,
as awareness. It's like if we're coming at it from some self-improvement ego, then we're just going to be constantly messing with ourselves and struggling with ourselves.
yes,
Trying to assert control again.
because this is maybe why there's a yes and there's a no. And the no is then, okay, when I am coming from this place again where it needs to be fixed or changed, or also the fear of doing it wrong, or
Yeah, it's like awareness has its own way. It's like the way that it meets everything, the way that things come into integration. It's like it's organic. It's like we're trying to give, the mind's trying to give lessons to a tree on how to grow or something. It's absurd. It's like, there's no way to do it wrong.
is there a way of stopping it from happening?
Stopping what?
The meeting of it all, or the is there a way of I don't know.
What do you notice right now?
Yeah, I get back to this feeling that I have in the meditation, that everything can just very much aliveness of this space of, everything. There's nothing that I need to, be for or against, but this openness of And also I would say, like I think Julie said, it feels safe here now that we are together. So it's like flowing very freely, and this not to be scared of. Now I can say that everything is welcome.
Yeah. Yeah. We're such resources for each other here. You know, to just this simple company that we're giving each other here is so powerful. Because so much of the fear that we have of ourselves is based around separation. It's like, oh, this is not allowed to exist. We've got to keep it separate and keep it away from. So it's like to be in a space where it's like the permission is here for it all to be felt, for everything to be here. It's so radical. It's so completely counter what sort of message of shame is.
Yes.
Every part of us gets to have this loving company. Don't need to hold ourselves separate. We get to come out of our private little hell realms and
I also feel this, you know, as you spoke, the longing of being met and being seen, and yet the fear of it, and the, you know, hiding from it. These two movements, but really deep longing for just falling open into the arms of, I don't know, life itself, but in relationship, of course, who I'm surrounded with, my child, my parents, and the tendency have been to, you know, have this big separation between us where we are so, and I don't know the way into it, and I don't know the way out of it, and that itself is quite painful, because you can see that this is not what we're meant to, or what we are. But also I see now that so many of these parts, you know, that now in these days I'm really feeling the hatred and the indifference in me, and these parts, they were just not allowed to be seen, or so how can I meet somebody, my daughter or my parents, with all this?
yeah, and just it's like so good. It's like so it's just like, let hate be here. Let your hate be here with us. Let yourself know it. Let us know it.
But it's a brutal feeling, because it's like against it, when it really it's felt it was like against everything and against myself and against like really. So it was like, yeah, quickly the wish come in, let there be peace again, because the fear of, yeah, just meeting it, and if not even if there was an acting out, it's, I don't know, but just to feel it so intensely and see it spread all around.
Yeah.
Close relation, far away, and
Yeah, and it's like just to bring it here, like right now, like in awareness. It's like to let yourself feel that intensity of that no to everything, just like wanting to get rid of it all. So get to have the feeling, the experience of that. And it's not a matter of like acting it out on everyone, of course, but it's like, but it's, you so get to feel it. It so gets to be felt.
it feels like, how you say, rocks in my bones, like really. And then something here like,
Yeah, does it want to make a sound?
this about sounds, it's really, yeah, I can do a lot of sounds, but I see also these, you know, the breathing, it has been also so much held back that it was like there was not space for breathing, or not space for being here, that when you say now, it's like just to allow this expansions of the breath, not to be so, it's like being here but trying to fill up as little space as possible, you know, and not even allow yourself to feel the breath from inside or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're so welcome here. This is so welcome here. So welcome. Just to have all the space at once. Just be so fully here. It doesn't need to be hidden, doesn't need to be censored, doesn't need to be diminished. Gets to be so alive, so vital. Yeah, it's good to just let the body do whatever it wants to do. Let the energy move however it wants to move.
Oh, thank you. I'm really happy to be, you know, allowing it to be connected with the body again and allowing it to be moved and because it was like being so still that wow, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you.
It's so beautiful, just so beautiful. To be this intimate, to be so with you here. It's such a gift to us all. We so love to be this deep with each other. To be connecting with what's real. Mm. Thank you. So appreciating the depth of presence here. Depth of connection. Some of the Europeans are fading into darkness now. It's getting late over there. Yeah, Loni.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm really happy. I'm really glad that I could get on the call, even if I was an hour late.
I got up this morning and I was like, oh, we need to send an email out to all the Europeans because the time difference. Yeah.
I was sure that it was 7 o'clock in the evening. That was 10 in the morning. I don't know why. So I came on and then realised that I'd missed half of it. So sorry for.
Yeah, no, the US clocks change a couple of weeks before the Europeans, so it throws everything off. Yeah.
Ah, that's why. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really appreciated your sharing, Julia. Really touched me. And yeah, I came on the call and there was just this frustration and anger and impatience coming up in me because I got it wrong and you know, and been coming through me quite a lot recently. So like like sort of this like real sort of teenage aspect of me that is raging about not being in control of anything. And it seems to be I am getting triggered a lot with this. So it's.
And is it rage at yourself or is it rage at something else?
Generally, I think just God, myself. I've had this illness that I caught in India, and I'm recovering now. I've been ill for quite a while, and all my intestines are really inflamed, and like they get set off very easily with different foods. So I think it's relating to this, but it's also, I suppose, helping me to have a good clear out of repressed emotion.
Yeah, just to let the rage be here.
Yeah, the rage was like moving through like the whole of this call, and now it just feels like sadness, actually, just like sad and a hopelessness.
What are you noticing as you open into the depths of that?
There's fear of just total uncertainty about everything, and just pain. Just feels like just a general sort of pain in my heart.
Yeah, and it's so not a personal fault that we're uncertain about everything. It's so how it is here. Everything's just so wide open all the time. You know, the closer we get to the truth of it, the more we realize that. What are you noticing now?
Well, there's like judgment coming up and saying, you know, this is boring for everyone. You're taking too much time and all this stuff. And then I'm seeing the anger as like a mask for this feeling of just total helplessness.
Yeah, it's so good to touch these depths. And it's so what we're here to really meet all this stuff that like is so hard for us. But we spend our whole lives running from, trying to escape from.
Yeah, so there's a real like wanting to really like give up into it, and then there's also a total fear of that as well. So there's
What was the second one?
a fear of,
Yeah.
a bit like what you just said, a fear of just sort of disappearing. Just have to keep doing to
Yeah, we so get to feel it, just to let yourself feel the intensity of it. It's sort of like the last place we want to go. The thing we're just like, we think we'll die if we feel it. We're so allowed to feel it all. And we so get to have company here. It's like these places that scare us. We're so full of projections around them. That will be destroyed, or this is the end of our life, or something. That this is not supposed to be here, not allowed. And it's never what we imagine. When we actually meet it, when we feel the actual life force of it, the actual shape of it. What's happening for you now?
sort of numbness really that's come over it, and a pain in my intestines. It's like I saw that this whole illness, everything really, because I was really collapsing into myself. I feel before, starting to really collapse into my heart before it all happened. So it's all like, like a big distraction. Yeah, and right now it's doing another tactic, taking me into the past. Just to be here with it. What I'm aware of now is the intensity has gone. There's like this pain in my belly, and there is a sort of like having let go of something, feeling of having let go of something.
Yeah, and it's not wrong to like the way you're noticing these layers and feeling them. It's like so perfect. It's like this is totally like how we do this deep inquiry. It's not like it's often we imagine there's an objective, and it's like it's like to just constantly like stay with what's true, what's actually happening now, whatever it is. And it's so easy to make it wrong here. Oh, this feeling is not what I was expecting. This is not supposed to be here. It's like just to really stay with the truth of it. This is what's here now. This is what's here. And what's emerging now?
I'm feeling very grateful for your support and for the group being here.
Mm.
And my husband just gave me some touched by everyone's caring and a big softening into, not just into the whole of my body, but just more into the space around me.
That's so beautiful. We're so with you here.
You said the feeling of, do I really deserve this? Rather than, I don't deserve it. It was a question.
Yeah.
It feels like an open. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
It's really an honor to be this close to you, to be this intimate, to be let in here. So, it's so beautiful. Thank you for allowing this depth of connection, allowing this intimacy. It's so vulnerable to let ourselves go here, you know, to let ourselves be seen here. These places are so vulnerable. They're so unaccustomed to company.
Yeah, it feels very freeing just to be able to allow. It's like my little tiny child part.
Yeah.
To actually connect with anyone.
Yeah, it's so strange how we're like the last to know how beautiful we are here. It's like we see it when other people open. It's like we're just so moved, so touched, so grateful. But we imagine if we open up that it's like we don't deserve love there. And it's so powerful to do it. So powerful to open like this in company. Allow the connection. It's like we get to be here whole with each other. Not having to perform on top of what's really here. What are you noticing now?
quite a, there's self-love and love for this little child in me. Feel like I'm holding her. Feels very intimate. Nice. Very grateful, yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you to everyone, the way you've been with each other in this space. It's so beautiful, so powerful. Yeah, thank you. And thank you to Open Circle for bringing us together this morning.
Thank you, Adam.